It was a brand new day for the hero of the horde, Gazzaneeadak. And it was going to be interesting. I stretched my lanky troll legs and then opened my map to look for the next objective. I was scouting the map in search of some interesting quests, so I closed my map and headed on out. I took a painful shortcut and then entered the Grand Seal. And then I found this dude who sold a lot of random expensive things, but more importantly, he had quests, which involved me fighting this handler Baz Koji. I then left the Great Seal. I took another painful shortcut, which I instantly regretted, because once again, I was faced by a rat. And I mean, his name literally says rat. And then he said it.
Time is money, friend!
And it turns out this rat wants me to try some new invention of his. So I put the stupid pants in the stupid box and then pressed the stupid button, completed my quest, and got the hell out of there. And as I ran past, I saw this mining trainer who taught me how to mine. I then went to this forge master dude and bought a hammer and a pickaxe. Then I asked him to train me in the art of blacksmithing. And then I learned you can only have 2 professions at one time, and since I had mining, I thought it made sense. So I learned to make copper braces and a rough sharpening stone. I then learned how to do some Zandalar blacksmithing, and left everything else in the shop alone. I then went back to this guy and learned Zandalar mining. I then also learned Monelite deposit and storm silver deposit. And then returned to the blacksmith again and learned everything. Afterwards, I opened the professions tab, where I found my new learned professions. I then ran over to this forge thing, and discovered to craft anything, I'd need this Monelite ore. And I had no clue how to get it. I then traded with the forge master, but he didn't have any. I then looked at my professions tab to try find any information about how to get this ore. I even asked the mining dude, but he couldn't tell me anything. And while I was walking around in a state of pure confusion, I noticed something in the bottom left. They said I could ask questions in the newcomer chat. So I typed out my question, and after some time, I got no response. I was then met by these 2 dudes who were kind of jumping around on their dinosaurs, so I decided to join in as well. And after a while of jumping around on our dinosaurs, I received an invite to join their group, but I was already in a group. And after looking around for a little while, I managed to find the option and I ditched my friend, and found myself becoming a new member of this group. Seemed like we were done here, so we all began to head out. But there was still a little problem. I actually had no idea how to message in the group chat. But unlike the other place, they gave me a response. And after following their instructions, I was able to speak in the group chat, where they very kindly welcomed me to WoW. I then took this opportunity to ask my question once again. And I'm yet to see one, but apparently they're just in the wild. And then they started heading off to go do this quest, which was the one I picked up earlier, so I told them that I had it and ran off to join them. I then found myself once again in the dense jungles of Zandalar, where I had to awkwardly maneuver my way down this cliff face. And I did eventually find a way down, even if it did shatter both my shins. But then I was ganked by some razorwings, and well, I died. And then I relayed my message as to why I was going to be late for my quest. So I ran back to my body and resurrected, once again, and then finally regrouped with my newfound teammates. Moving on, we made our way to the site, where it looks like a fight had broken out, and I unfortunately discovered the body of handler Baz Koji. I then accepted this quest and reached level 18. I then found myself accompanied by this little dinosaur. I learned a new skill, and then the team regrouped to carry on with the mission. We then arrived in this camp, and I was met by this beast lord, and it seemed like my new objective was to raise this little guy. And I mean, who wouldn't want to raise a dinosaur? I then ran over and unlocked the flight master, and then got to work smacking the Dimetrodons, and marking these plants for our new dinosaur buddy to eat. And after it was satiated, it returned back to the camp, where I completed my quest. My reward for the quest was an enraged Dimetrodon fin, which I selected and accepted, and I got this rare upgrade thing, and then I accepted a new quest. I was making my way to the next objective when I found this sign thing on a post, which was a bounty for this guy called Jabra Khan. It was recommended for 3 players, but that's never stopped me before. I then took this other quest to kill this queen feathered dinosaur. Rallying once again with my team, we found it and attacked. With the 3 of us and the power of friendship, we brought it down. And then I found this button down here, and when I pressed it, it literally sent the baby dinosaur into battle. But anyway, now that the queen feather was dead, I was now after Jabra Khan. So I headed off to find his camp. We found him and initiated the battle. But the power of Triceratops and Toothpick was too much for him. I then returned back to this guy to collect my bounty. And then I also had to collect my reward from this guy. But with that quest I reached level 19, and not too long after I received a friend request. So I accepted. And it turns out they had to leave, so I decided to continue and do some quests.
Time is money!
I then decided it was time for a new weapon, and I recalled the store from earlier sold this great axe. The only problem was, I couldn't remember where it was, so I went to the guard and asked for some directions. but it didn't seem to be much help. I ran around the Great Seal seeing if there was any indication or maybe another weapon store. Finding nothing, I left and took another painful shortcut. I then thought I remembered where it was, so I took a flight master down to the docks. But after running around here as well, I was sure this was not the area either. And then about 15 minutes of searching later, I finally found him. So I bought my great axe and equipped it. And while I was here, I took the opportunity to clear out my bags. I then started this quest over here, which involved me slaying thieving snappers. So I did just that, finishing off the last snapper and not even noticing the big dinosaur that just ran away. I then realized and began my pursuit. And then it just disappeared. I ran over to where it was, and then I got pushed by something, and it appeared behind me, and then it disappeared again. At this point I was very confused, but I carried on anyway. And then I found him in this pile of trash. And it turns out this dinosaur was actually the god of garbage. And then it said that my clothes were worth kingdoms of gold and my weapons cost more than their followers. Even though I'm storing the armor from the tutorial and I just bought my great axe across the street for 5 silver. But nevertheless, she was pissed. And as punishment, I had to survive the trial of Johnny. So I accepted and I was turned into a little rat dinosaur. I then had to return to the guy I originally got the quest from and bite him. So I ran my way over there on my little dino legs. And once I reached him, I clicked on him and bit him in the ass. And after a while of chomping cheeks, I was teleported back to the God of Garbage, where I completed this fever dream of a quest and got the hell out of there. And then we decided to explore the west side of Zandalar, since we hadn't been there yet. And on our trek, we found a signpost, which had bounties for a thump knuckle and a saber-tusk empress. And then I noticed something on the map that said Monelite deposit, so I turned around, and there it was. I ran over and started mining, and got my first Monelite ore. And then literally right next to the rock was the thump knuckle. The ginger gorilla charged in at us, so we started smacking away, and after a few minutes being thrown around, it seems that the thump knuckle will be the one to get thumped. And then I ran into his thump knuckle cave and found some more monolite. We then thumped them once again for good measure, and then I saw a different kind of rock, and after mining it turned out to be storm silver ore, so I collected it and noticed that my mining level was increasing. We then carried on down the road where we met the saber-tusk empress. I once again sent in the nukes, which yeah. Now this one was a little bit more difficult than the thump knuckle, but thanks to my teammates' good healing magic, we managed to take it down. And then I found this chest down the hill, which contained a random assortment of items, including a ceremonial nose ring. Found some more monolite, and then we turned in the bounties and got rewarded with some juicy XP. I then had to speak to this rat called Grease Flare or something, who wanted us to scan some vents and take down this gorilla called King Daka, who's apparently a big mon. So we entered the Gorilla Gorge, where I was met by a bonus objective, which just wanted me to kill these Dakani gorillas. But as I ran further into the Gorilla Gorge, I found this itchy gorilla, who wanted me to free some pacifist gorillas. So I got to work, freeing gorillas and killing gorillas. And after castrating some chimps, we finished the bonus objective and leveled up to level 20. And continuing on our adventure, I ran up these stairs to meet this Zayus dude. So I chose a new skill and charged in on Zayus, who had this weird banana stunning ability, but he was no match for the Gaz and took his Cargified banana, which has a chance of shooting exploding bananas at our targets. So I scanned some vents, killed more gorillas, and then I followed my friend into this cave where we found King Daka, so I charged in. An epic battle ensued, and after a few minutes of mauling the monkey, he finally fell to the power of the Horde. We carried on, but then I noticed a star on our map once again, which ended up leading me to this cave called the Den of Zolotal, and inside we found the avatar of Zolotal. And once again I charged in and started smacking the shit out of this dog, and then he charged up this ability, and it started summoning lightning and these weird spiral things on the ground. And it was actually genuinely a cool fight because I hadn't seen many monsters with abilities like this up to this point. But in the end we put the dog down and I took his shaggy mane. I then returned to the camp and completed my quest. And then we also had some quests on the east side of the map. And as we were running along we saw these 2 dinosaurs battling it out. I took the opportunity and started smacking the toes of this T-Rex. With the help of the Triceratops, this was going to be an easy fight, until it decided to attack me as well. It was starting to look bad again for gazzaneeadak, but like a true warrior, he never gave up. So I ran back, and since it was still in low health, I knew this was my chance to finish, so I carried on and discovered another bonus objective, and upon completing the objective, we were rewarded with some XP and gold, and I leveled up to level 21. I then unlocked yet another ability. And I know this happens a lot, but I once again found myself outnumbered, and well, I died. But then a hero emerged from round the corner, and he fought the dinosaurs on his own, and won. And then he came over to me and started casting the spell, and as this light beamed into my cold corpse, I was brought back to life. set on getting my revenge on this big beast bitch, we headed in and started attacking together, and we took it down no problem. I then ran over to this temple looking thing, and met this dwarf dude who wanted me to kill a hippo, and this dude wanted me to kill the dinosaurs that killed me before. So once again I sent in the nukes. Oh my, not learning from my previous mistakes, it looked like I was bound to die yet again. But then I experienced this really weird feeling of deja vu. And I swear to my teammate, I'm like a kid who keeps trying to put forks into wall sockets. But I once again got my revenge and killed them all. And then I had to run back here because apparently I missed a quest to kill King Catal. I returned to the dude who gave me my quest, but he looked a little bit more dead this time, but luckily he still had the money on him. And then we ran into this King Catal T-Rex, and after a few minutes of attacking his toes, we put this bitch into the fucking canvas. And then I found the body of Ranger Palu. Carrying on, I found the hippo I was meant to kill, but it was already in battle with another player, which just made it easier to finish off this big beast. I then found these turtle-looking dudes, and once again began to clear out my bags. Carrying on, I once again saw a star on the map. Finding the dude, I used my leap ability, and we took him down. And then I started to leave the place, and once again I found myself being attacked by multiple enemies. My attempts to escape were futile, and it looks like I was going to die again. And then I found this hat on the ground which completed my quest. And then I returned and handed in my other quests, which rewarded me with a new pair of gloves. And another level up, but this time to level 22. I then unlocked this new ability called Thunderclap. And then I found a familiar looking pile of garbage, and I once again found myself being strangled by the god of garbage, who offered me a quest called Big Huntermon, and apparently we were going to pull a prank on the little dwarf dude for killing animals. So once again I found myself being turned into a little rat dinosaur, and I ran on my little dino legs to the new objective. After the small run, I made it to the entrance of the cellar, where I had to plant a stink bomb in these crates. But when I tried to leave, the dwarf dude started walking down the stairs, and he had a knife. I jumped behind him with a sneak attack and stole his boot. And with his boot, I ran away. And then I noticed that the quest wasn't advancing at all, so I ran back and then found the dude just kind of standing here. And at this point, I had no idea what the hell was going on. So I started running around, clicking on him, trying to make the quest progress in any way, but nothing was working, so I decided to head back to the god of garbage. So I started rummaging through the garbage once again, and talked to the god of garbage. I ran back to the cellar, only to find the dude's boot, and the quest still wasn't advancing. So I tried logging out and logging back in, but it still didn't seem to work. I then figured out that I could abandon the quest, so I did so. I returned to the god of garbage, and ran to the cellar once again, planting the bomb, but this time I thought it was a better idea to wait behind these crates. He came down the stairs and started rummaging through the box, and this time, the quest progressed. So again I took his boot and ran back to the god of garbage, and I was finally able to complete my quest. And now I wonder what's next for gazzaneeadak. I suppose we'll find out next time.